Hello. I know it's been a while. I'm trying to get Junkrat out, but I have not found a good way to put that story. Uh, technically I watched manhwa. This guy has a contract ability, and it's a very unique ability. I'll see if I remember to put the manhwa's um, video in the description. That was empty yesterday. I'm looking at a basket that has bottles and cans in it. Oh, the bag. I now know where those came from. Okay, so let's start with some background. Izumi, yes, that's what she's gonna be looking like in the sports festival, which we'll jump to in a second. But Izumi has a quirk. It's called share. That's what she wrote it down as, share, because she likes to be friendly, nice to people. She likes to help, so she's sharing. But later on, she calls it the web. Not World Wide Web, just the web. Technically, it would be kind of like the World Wide Web, but that's for a different thing. So she is 9 years old. She's been told by her father, who is very stern, to always hide her quirk, always hide what it does. But she has made contracts. These contracts are people eating the gems that she produces. They don't need to know what they do because she has absolutely no control over them. All they get is a mental link to everybody who's eaten a gem. Yes, Izumi has eaten one of her own gems, wondering what it tasted like. It tastes different for everybody. It's what their favorite flavor is. They can only eat one gem, though. And the person who eats the gem adds their quirk into the web. When they add a quirk into the web, they become part of the web. They gain all quirks that are in the web without actually having a physical quirk on them anymore. So she was at a park. A lot of kids. This was a field trip to a national park in Japan. So she produced the gem, and she started chewing on it. She crunched into it, and she said it tasted good. So kids started asking for it. People who got it, Jiro, Mina, Kirishima, most of the kids in class 1A. Most of the kids in class 1A. Mineta did not get one. Aoyama did not get one. Toru got one. Shoji got one. Most kids in 1A got one, except for Aoyama and Mineta. That's important. And most kids in 1B got one too, except for Monoma. Monoma did not get one. He was not there. He was sick that day. So everybody goes and they're testing quirkless even though they have abilities. So they're like, what the hell's going on? The government catches on to something happened at this national park. They're guessing it's a quirk from somebody. Well, Izumi is now testing quirkless because she ate one of her own gems, which took her quirk into the web. But since she's the originator of the gems, she can change who produces the gems depending on what's going on. Pretty much nobody besides Izumi can do this, unless she designates somebody else to produce the gems. Gems cost nothing to be produced, but they can be produced in any way and anywhere. So she walks into the police station because she has a hunch on who her father is. And yes, her father is All For One. That's not going to be a very hard thing to test now. Well, hard thing to figure out because I'm about to go on to detail. She walks up and she asks, because she's kept in contact with everybody who's eaten a gem, and they search for police officers that they could trust, because she's talked to them. They know how to keep secrets. They've been keeping the secret of her quirk. And yes, their IQ slowly compounds on each other, so they are fucking smart. They are fucking smart. Yes, and Bakugo is part of the web. So she walks into the police station and she asks for a detective with some kind of lie detector quirk. And a patrol officer's like, "Hey, just go home, kid." She goes, "No, I need to talk to him." He goes, "Just go home, kid." She walks past him. He tries to grab her. She dodges out of the way. She keeps walking. He's like, "Kid, get back here." She's like, "If you're not going to take me seriously, I'm going to someone who will." Walks straight to the office of the police chief of that precinct and slams the door shut, locks it, and goes, "I'm here to give you a hint on where, or maybe even who, All For One is." The police chief, who knows that name, knows how evil he is and what he needs to do about that, asks, "Do you know who you're talking about?" She goes, "Yes, and I believe he's my father. So if you could, please get a lie detector quirk, so you know everything I'm saying is what I believe is the absolute truth." And he goes, "Okay." Immediately dials up a different precinct, goes, "You know that rookie? With the lie detector? Yeah, Namasa. Send him over. We need him." "I can't tell you. If this is true and the information that he's about to get is true, he's going to have to get a promotion. And a ton of NDAs. Non-disclosure agreements. That's what an NDA is, if you guys didn't know." "No, I don't care. Just get him over here in the next 30 minutes. Nezu, who has flagged Detective Naomasa as a potential ally, immediately gets notified, immediately sends an email to the police chief. "I heard you're looking for Naomasa." He goes, "You're going to need to be here. Get All Might." And she goes, "If you're calling All Might, do not call Night Eye, but do call his mentor, Gran Torino." Okay, does so. Nezu appears with Eraserhead, and she goes, "Huh, Eraserhead. Another person that could help." Eraserhead is currently just out of high school. At this point in time, he goes, "What?" "Yes, I'm de-aging a few of the teachers." Nezu goes, "I have a quick question. All your questions will be answered." Yes, she's still a child. She messes up sentences. Don't judge me. And yes, I still mess up sentences when I'm thinking 3 steps ahead and talking 5 steps backwards. "All your questions will be answered if you have one of these." He goes, "What is this?" She goes, "It's my quirk. And I'd like to transfer control of those gems to you if you eat one." He goes, "What does it do?" She goes, "I call it web. Allows me to create a mental and quirk web for everybody who has one of those gems. If you've eaten one of those gems, your quirk is ripped from your body and joined into the web. All web quirks immediately connect to your body and continue doing what they're doing. It does not affect you in any severe way, besides making your body register as absolutely quirkless to everything." And I'm so glad it did. And they're like, "Why?" "Because I believe my own father was trying to steal my own quirk." Now Masa opened the door and heard this and goes, I must be in the wrong room. The police chief sees him. Come in. We need you. Your quirk is lie detector. She goes, please take this. Nezu did eat it, by the way. He's part of the mental link. So he's talking to the children, and he looks directly at Aizawa and goes, well, you're going to have one too. I'm going to make it mandatory. Every teacher in UA has one. Immediately, Izumi looks at him and goes, I actually have an idea. Mentally sends him the details of the idea, and he starts cackling evilly. And he goes, that is a good idea. I'll help you do it. But let's get this situation done with. So she explains all the evidence, what she's seen, how he acts. And the police chief puts it all together with the information, because now Masa is, even though he's a friend of All Might, he does not get it immediately put in detective or any superior position, because he's like, I want to get up in the ranks. So he's currently a rookie. If anybody's seen NCIS, he's a probie. He's not a commander of his own little group, but he is part of a group of detectives and investigators. He's a rookie. So he's writing all this down. Every time she says something, he gives a signal like, it's okay, it's true. So after she hands him a gem and is like, I do not want you to lose that quirk. My father, and I swear to everything, I know it's my father. He is all for one. Places the gem on the table. Looks at Nezu. I, current overseer of the web, relinquish the authority to add and subtract people from the web to Nezu, principal of UA, and now admin of the web. Like a Discord server. It's kind of like a Discord server, but you can share superpowers through it. It has to be verbal. So she gives Nezu, and he tries to make another gem. He can't. So he starts getting familiarized with the rules of the gem. Only one can be created at a time. Only one can exist at a time. Once one person has consumed the gem, it immediately shatters and goes throughout their entire body, scrubbing the clues of a quirk from that body, and so on. So he gets the basics of the quirk. A year later, the big fight. All Might's about to die. She goes, I have a part of, there's somebody part of the web. Talk to Nezu. He talks to Nezu right before the surgeries. Nezu goes, you have one chance to join the web. He goes, what the fuck is the web? Nezu explains what it is and who exactly gave him the location of All For One. And since Nezu has absolute control over the web, he has absolute control over who gets it. Nezu looks directly at All Might and goes, you have a golden opportunity to become something much greater than just the symbol of peace. You consume this gem, and you become part of the web. Don't worry. One for All will increase in power. Because what will it do? So he explains what possibly it could do to One for All. He consumes it. One for All gets yanked out of him in a way, gets added to the web, every single quirk in the web gets boosted by 100 times its effectiveness. So Kendo's big fists, she now has gigantification in basics. Mina's acid, she's now completely immune to all acid. She's maroon instead of dark pink. And she has the ability to spray a jet of water all the way up to an acid so strong it can eat through the core of the earth without boiling. Yes. That's how fast it would eat through shit. So, yes, it'd eat through the air that gets sucked towards it. So everybody gets detached from the web for a few seconds before reattaching to it, and they could feel the quirks added to the web just quadruple, well, maybe even quintuple what was there when they don't know the full scope. So they all start going through their quirks very slowly, getting back used to them. They find out every quirk has been ridiculously amplified, including One for All. All Might can now use Fa, Jin, Smokescreen, Danger Sense, all the quirks that were in One for All. And Nezu goes, huh, you weren't actually quirkless. He goes, what do you mean? You had a slight transformation quirk. It was called Bulk Up. Well, that's basically what it does. I'm just going to call it Bulk Up. It gives you muscle. So that's what I'm doing for the skinny versus hero. And immediately his wound starts regenerating and coming back. So Inko, who was living in the same province as the disaster, or the same city as the disaster, died. She was part of the web. She understood what her daughter was doing. She died. It went from being able to just attract things to terrible tornadoes, psychic abilities. From One Punch Man. Tatsumaki. Yeah, everybody felt the loss of Inko through the web. Nezu's eyes widen and starts cackling in a deranged, depressed kind of way. And All Might hears this and goes, what? He goes, I just got informed one of the adults in the web to help keep everybody on track and keep everything calm during certain hours, and to keep basically control of all the people in the web, because there's a lot more than just you and me in this web. Calm died during the attack of the heroes. The daughter of this lovely lady is now closing herself off from the web. So I will need to get back to you on what exactly the web is and any other questions, because I need to go comfort a child who just lost a loving mother. I know I probably said that she survived. She did not. She did know, though. So she gets put into the foster system. Somehow the government learns about her quirk a day before she gets put in the foster system. And Nezu, the chimera he is, thought of something. So he put cameras all throughout her home except for the bathroom and any private rooms that need absolute privacy. So we go to a day before she's taken from her home and all of her stuff is moved to storage. 3 men in black suits knock on the door. She opens the door. Things are in boxes. And they're like, "We need to talk to you." She goes, "I don't want to." She tries to shut the door. They put a foot in the door and they burst their way in. They sit her on the damn couch. And they're like, "You need to sign a contract or we're labeling you a villain." She immediately contacts Nezu. "Your suspicions were correct. They're currently trying to strong-arm me." She goes, "First off, no hero will take you seriously because I'm labeled as quirkless." Like, that is absolute bullshit. We'll crack it open to what your quirk is. She goes, "Oh, and what do you think my quirk is? What do you think my quirk is? Because I can guarantee you that it's not what you're thinking of. It's the same as your father." "No, it's not. I'm quirkless. I'm a quirkless child. Nobody will ever get to know what my quirk is, if ever. This conversation never happened because they learn that you're trying to strong-arm a child. You're going to be immediately fired." They go, "You sign this paper or it's a federal manhunt for your head." She goes, "Go right the fuck ahead. Put a federal manhunt on my head. I have a lot more people on my side than you think I do. So if you really think that one piece of paper can turn me into public enemy number 1 if I don't sign it, then you're a bigger idiot than I thought you were. And we really need to take down the government." Like, now that's treason. What do you mean treason? I said take it down, not obliterate it, not kill the figures. Take it down. It's like a picture on the wall. You take it down, replace it with a better one. You did not destroy the picture. So we're not destroying the government. We're just taking out the corrupt individuals, the power-hungry individuals, and the people who don't want the safety for the public, and just reinstalling a new one who wants safety for the public, who will help save the public. So, will you leave peacefully? Or do I have to get physical? They see his arms, they see her arms turn completely obsidian, a texture and color. "I really hope you don't make the wrong decision." He goes, "See right there, you have a quirk." "I don't know what you're talking about." "I have gloves on." She physically and easily takes off what looks like obsidian skin and flexes around, and it looks like a glove now. Yes, Momo was on that trip. Now here's the funny bit. The guy's like, "Screw this, just grab her." They hear a knock on the door. She looks directly at him. Quiet. They're quiet too. And they hear a voice they didn't want to hear. "Young Izumi, are you okay?" said a voice very familiar to all 3 of them. "I'm good, All Might. How are you today?" All 3 men start to sweat and shaken nerves. He goes, I was just told by a mutual friend of ours to come and say hi, help you move because you're going into foster care for a little bit before Isaac can get his foster license and take care of you. Oh, okay, the door is currently open. Okay, I'm coming in. They get up. Have a good day. Puts the paper in his briefcase before All Might sees any of the words on it. And starts walking out. He goes, who are they? She goes, oh, just a government agent trying to go over her stuff. I told them to talk to my current overseer of my case. Yeah, Nezu is very particular about the people he oversees. They start sweating even more, get even more pale. She goes, so you here to help? He goes, yep. I'm also here to pick up that box of notebooks. She goes, oh yeah. Let me go get it. So she gets what looks like a cardboard box. She picks it up, puts it in All Might's hands, and they see this, and they see All Might's hands drop a few inches from how heavy the box is. He goes, this ain't just normal cardboard, isn't it? She goes, nope. He puts it under his arm, and he looks like he is struggling to hold it. He goes, well, I'll be right back. Walks out. They see a UA vehicle. He walks up to the window, knocks on it. They see the window roll down, and Nezu. He picks up the box, puts it next to Nezu, and say, that's the box. Nezu goes, thank you, All Might. Continue on your day. They did not see any of the screens in front of Nezu, the keyboard that just retracted before the window opened, but All Might did. All Might saw the keyboard retract from how close he was to the window. He saw the screens glowing with images inside of Izumi's home. So the government officials leave. She continues packing. All Might does actually help, not just coming there to... she told him he didn't have to, just save her from the government before she does something stupid and actually become a villain. He goes, don't worry. Need any help, just contact me and I'll be there as quick as I possibly can. She goes, thank you. Continues packing. Well, we skip ahead. A few months before Eraserhead and President Mike take her in, we go to the USJ. Happens weirdly. Everybody loses memories of what happened. All the villains besides Shigaraki and Kurogiri, they just can't see what quirks they used for no reason. Except for a purple midget and a sparkling boy, but they're too weird for them to actually pay attention to. And one of them is a spy. Yes, one of those two are the UA spy and traitor. But we'll go to the sports festival. We're in the third round against Todoroki. She has just beat Shinso. Normal thing. So she looks like that in just the PE uniform. Yes, Todoroki was on that. Todoroki asks, why have you been holding back on everybody? She goes, you know what? Screw it. Pulls out a microphone that he kidnapped from her father. He goes, that's where my microphone went. Puts it on, because she sees Aizawa and Mike as basically two father figures. Mike is more of a mother figure, but still both of them is a father figure. Yes, Mike and Eraserhead are shipped in this one. It's absolutely adorable. I'll go into that a little bit later. If I can. I may not be able to do the lovey-dovey scenes really well. So she puts on the headset, clicks it on. She goes, testing, testing. Okay. Nezu. Plan breakdown. Start it. They hear a chittering laugh come over the speakers. Gladly. Just wondering when you'll break. She goes, attention all viewers around the world. Yes, it is a worldwide spectacle for the UA Sports Festival. My name is Izumi Aizawa, adoptive daughter of Shota Aizawa, Eraserhead. My original name was Izumi Midoriya. Beloved daughter of Inko Midoriya, and possibly quirk marriage byproduct of All For One, the boogeyman of the underworld. Now, don't worry, he's most likely dead or dying at the moment because All Might did lobotomy by fist, and his skull was plastered all over the floor, so if he's not dead, he is most likely dying or can't remember half the crap he ever did. So he's probably just trying to survive. And I'm glad. I'm glad he's either dead or dying. Because he was a bastard. So, I want to get 3 things clear. My quirk allows me to create a web between people who give us a mental link and a quirk link. Everybody in this web can share quirks. Shoto, why don't you show them? Show them Kirishima's quirk. Hardens like Kirishima. Looks at Mina. Show them Momo's quirk. Immediately makes a giant-ass cannon. Looks at Momo. Use Todoroki's quirk. She does so. Goes throughout the classes, telling them to use random quirks throughout the classes. And goes finally and lastly, Nezu, please use my quirk. Nezu opens up a feed straight to his office. Miriko's currently there. And she goes, what the hell do you want, rodent? He goes, I would like you to join the web. She goes, you mean the secret organization that's like the Illuminati? He goes, actually, how'd you know? He starts grinning. She's, God dang it. He goes, no. What it does is it gains a mental link to everybody in the web. And allows them to borrow/use your quirk. Scrubs you of all quirk factor and gives you the ability to use any quirk in the web. She goes, and what will happen to my mutation? You could turn it off if you want to at that point in time. So I could go in incognito. Yep. Snatches the gem, munches it. She's like, huh. He goes, yeah, it's whatever you find most delicious. You know, I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad that it went carrot. Immediately, Izumi starts laughing her butt off. And she goes, I told you, Nezu. He goes, well, new gem. He pulls out his paw. A new gem appears on his paw. Thank you for allowing me to demonstrate her quirk. Whose quirk? Izumi Midoriya, daughter of All For One. Don't worry, you'll understand once the sports festival happens. This was recorded. Was it yesterday or the day before? Nezu goes, the day before yesterday. Miriko, can you please come down? outside of your quirk, outside of your mutation quirk. She jumps down in bunny form. She goes, I have a better idea. She turns off her quirk in front of everybody. And she goes, this is a really weird way to stand. She goes, well, you've been standing in your mutation quirk for all your life, so you're used to it. Turns on hers. Immediately gets bunny ears and a bunny tail. Mirko says, rabbit. No, it's bunny. It's called bunny. Has the abilities of rabbit and bunny, but it's called bunny. So she goes, thank you. And if you guys are scared by the fact that my father was the boogeyman of the underworld and he could steal quirks, All Might, please come down and tell me why you trust me. He jumps down from the rafters and says, I trust you, young Izumi, for 3 reasons. You saved my life on that day with the quirk that you have. You've never given me a reason not to trust you. And even if you did do things for me not to trust you, you have plenty of people who can stop you. Especially since you gave Nezu control of the web. I gave him partial control. He can kick me off the web if he wants. He goes, see? You even know that most people wouldn't be able to understand how powerful this is. But you understood how powerful it is. You understood that you need someone to help hold you back sometimes. And the best person to do it are your parent figures or your grandparent figures. And she goes, yep. So, I trust you for those 3 reasons. I think I did 3. I hope I did 3. If I didn't do 3, well, it's her personality. It's the 3rd. So she goes, thank you. Now, why you've only been seeing me use 1 quirk this entire time is because the government and the HPSC approached me before I came to UA today, while I was walking to UA, threw me in a black SUV. There's a hero with a memory playback quirk that I gladly joined the web, and she starts playing back the memory. She's walking down the street, all of a sudden yanked to the side, thrown into the SUV. Yeah. And it's the HPSC president and a high figure in the government. They said, if you use more than 1 quirk today, because we know you have more than 1 quirk, you'll be labeled a triple S ranked villain like your father. She immediately goes, I am nothing like a deadbeat sperm donor. I'm nothing like Endeavor. Like, what do you mean? Endeavor is a great hero. No, he's a bastard who beats his own children. Now, let me continue talking. I'm nothing like those 2. I'd never harm any innocent civilian. I'd never try to take someone's quirk away unless it's absolutely necessary. And the only quirk that the web can actually take is mine. Because I gave control of my quirk up. You know what the web is. You've got Hawks to tell you. I know you did, because Hawks is part of the web. He got his emotions back. He knows what actual people normally do when they have friends. So, he trusts us. Unlike you, who he's been feeding us information. Oh, and you won't remember any of this conversation after we're done. He's been feeding us information to take you guys down. Now, don't get me wrong. You guys are needed. You guys are needed. But we need people up in power to save the people, not abuse the people. So this is probably going to be shown at the sports festival because, okay, I accept your conditions. I'll use only one quirk for the entire sports festival. Multiple security guards rush through. You've broken. Technically, I haven't. I only used one quirk. The web. Nezu goes, she never chose in front of you, so technically she is right. She used her own quirk. And her own quirk, as the abilities allow her to copy and use other quirks. So, she's using only one quirk currently. And as we speak, we're having most of the pro heroes that are part of the web storm your buildings, taking out all corrupt figures that we can significantly track and taking them to jail. Thanks to our lovely detective friend, Detective Naomasa, who is now a commissioner or police chief or whatever you want to call it. He is now the highest ranking person in a police department. And he walks into Nezu's stadium and goes, Nezu, all rats have been cleared out. You can pull your snakes back. And walks out. Nezu immediately starts cackling. He goes, Izumi, you can stop the distraction and get on with the fight. She looks at Todoroki and goes, okay. She cracks every bone in her body and immediately hardens to the maximum. Which, yes, she gains most mutation quirks that as she has contracted into the web. Ida's. Tenya Ida's. Tensei Ida's. So she has pipes on her elbows and her calves. Kirishima. Who else? Shoji. Yes, she gained dupli arms. And they all have pipes on them. A few others from support and Gen Ed. So everybody sees this giant figure that looks nothing like Izumi. The only thing they can recognize is the hair colors and the ears. Because, yes, she has elf ears. That is a mutation that she's had her entire life and is not part of her quirk. So, she starts fighting Todoroki, who's using only emitters. They start fighting seriously, and they're absolutely shredding the platform, the arena. At the end, Izumi, yes, she wins. Yes, she wins. And All Might comes down. Congratulations. You have proven that blood does not make you who you are, but intentions and hard work. She beams at All Might. Mirko and a lot of the people in the web are sending her offers, including people from US, England, China, India. Yes, it is a worldwide web. Nezu has been busy for the last 6 years. No, not 6 years. 9 years. They're 18. I'm going to say they're 18. 9 years. So, and one of the people who was added was Pony's, I think, aunt. I think she's the one who has the stallion quirk. Yes. That adds everything a stallion has onto the female body she has. Everything that makes a stallion. Everything. If you know what I'm talking about, good for you. If you don't, oh well. So, she has everything she ever wanted. She has endless amount of quirks. What they didn't know was one of the people that they contracted with, who gave them the super generation, was experimented on by her father at the dawn of quirks, who now has an agelessness quirk and the super regeneration. He ran from All For One, and thanks to the ability to eject all of the quirk factor from his body, he regained his mind from the slightly insane state he was at to a normal human being. He was a fighting maniac. Now he's not. So, during the tournament, Ingenium was attacked. Ida, who's part of the web, got the information immediately because Tensei immediately sent out a mental, I'm being attacked by Stain, please send help. Because most of the time, pro heroes can't use other quirks unless they're confirmed to be part of the web. Now that the web is out to the world, they can start using other quirks. The attack was already over. Stain's now in custody. So yeah, everything is semi-safe. So we go to, oh god. I still got time. Yeah, I still got time. Internships. Yeah, internships. She goes with Gran Torino because Torino still wants to train her in One for All because she was the supposed to successor and he didn't quite understand all of the World Wide Web yet. So she grabbed the crystal from Nezu's office before she left, put it in her pocket, walked up to Gran Torino, shoved it in his mouth, and made him chew it. He had his favorite flavor, whatever favorite food he has. And immediately gets connected to Nezu, and Nezu explains it to her. Now he can actually understand it because he has Nezu's quirk, which allows him to think in 3 different dimensions at the same time. So, he also regains his youth and regains all of the mobility he had with the regeneration, super generation, and agelessness. We go to summer camp. A few hundred more people were added because Nezu, now that he doesn't need to hide the web, he's been contacting people who have loose lips but still good intentions to join the web. They found a child who was being used by a villain group as their transport. And he's able to create doors. So Nezu, in his infinite wisdom, thinks we could finally do that idea. So he brings the child in and asks him to consume this. So he gains all the quirks. He loses the quirk ability. Well, not actually loses it, but Nezu then explains to him what it does, what happens when he eats it, and everything. And the child now understands. Nezu sends him the information, and he smiles, thinking he actually be helpful to somebody. So, Nezu already had this underwater station built, and it is huge. Just absolutely massive. It is floating. Yes, floating in the Mariana Trench. Nezu knows exactly the coordinates, so he makes a door into the main area. He destroys the door because the warping quirk is doorway, allows him to create a door to specific areas. And there's a pedestal that he puts the gem on and chooses that specific, that particular spot for the gem to regenerate in every time instead of his palm. And he sets up the entrance to Valhalla. And yes, one of the quirks was back from death. Allows someone to regenerate and immediately gets teleported, because there are points in times where the regeneration quirk does get overwhelmed and will be close to killing the wielder of the quirk. He gets immediately teleported if their vital signs are flatline to a specific spot. And he finally puts up a sign that she wanted up because she thought it was hilarious. And he didn't know what it meant until he read a book called Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. If you guys have read that book and know what I'm talking about now, because everybody will respawn in that spot, even in that location. So, Nezu starts telling people about the new area and says, go to my office, find a way to get to my office, and you guys can come down here and set your first door. This place spans the entirety of Mariana's Trench. Pretty much fills up the entire trench without touching the sides of the trench. Does not interrupt any of the wildlife in the trench. And can survive 300 million nuclear bombs on one specific point. All 300 million are blowing up at the exact same point. I don't know how much TNT that is, but that's how many bombs need to be placed before it starts to crack and warp. Yes, it is able to survive a black hole. That's how strong it is. So, he informs Izumi about the hotel. We go to the summer camp. Nothing really happens. Summer camp happens, and the League of Villain attack. They take Bakugo, because Bakugo had the same reaction. He was told not to react like an old person, but like his old self. Wild dog. Yeah. Got kidnapped. They haven't tortured him yet. They want to recruit him. And it is maybe 30 minutes or 30 seconds before the pizza knock. And he goes, by the way, you guys should know, I'm part of the web. Immediately he hears a fuck from the TV. Knock, knock. Pizza delivery! And all that happens. They get yanked. to All For One. He wants to see if he can actually take Katsuki's quirk, grabs Katsuki, and sees that he's touching a quirkless child now. Even though Katsuki grabs his hand and gives a good explosion to his hand. So All For One uses the quirk to make him fall asleep. Izumi, who knew this could have happened, walked out of the rubble that happened when All For One and One For All start fighting again, and goes, "Oh, hello, dear old dad." He looks at her and goes, "I thought I treated you well." "Oh, you did. But I would have just loved for you to actually tell me the truth. You lied every day of my life. I asked if I could be a great hero. You said heroes are shit. You're half right on that. I asked what you did for a living. You said you're a real estate agent. No, you weren't. So she goes over different questions that she asked as a child. Most questions are like, what the hell, why are you asking kind of questions for an adult. But for a child, they're like, I'm curious about this, about this, about this, about this. And she goes, and the last question I asked, are you a bad person? Now, I would have expected you to lie at this, but that one day you were off, just a tiny bit. And I'm glad by that time I had Namasa's quirk in the index, and, well, I am the Binder Hero index. Yes, her name is the Binder Hero index. It's pun on Binder's organization and sorting a vast amount of information. Don't worry. But, well, I have a question for you, dear old dad. He goes, yeah. If you can defeat All Might, snaps fingers, a door rises out of the ground from behind her. That's how a door is made from the ability. It doesn't affect the ground, but it looks like it's crumbling the ground around it as it comes up, but it doesn't actually affect it. Can you defeat all the members of Valhalla? She bows as the door opens. Hundreds of thousands, yes, hundreds of thousands of heroes come running out of this door, ready to fight All For One. And they're all technically quirkless. And he goes, shit. And she goes, language? He immediately yells back, English? She immediately looks at the English and American crowd. Well, he's chosen on who he wants to fight and walks away. The American crowd just starts pulling out a ton of guns. The English crowd just starts pulling out swords, knives, daggers. Yes. Yes, I'm stereotyping them. Don't worry. It's going to get funny. He goes, really? And she immediately goes, by the way, his original name is William. So, fire at will! I'm sorry. Yes, his original name was William Shigaraki. They are firing at will. One of the sergeants that went from military to hero work is laughing his butt off as he's continuously firing this old style LMG light machine gun just from the hip, constantly hitting him in the dome. They're just peppering him with ammunition. Everybody except for the sergeant just doesn't stops firing because they run out of ammunition. And he just keeps firing and goes, my quirk is unlimited ammo, guys. And I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot about that. So they put in a new clip that has nothing in it, and they just start firing again. So he is now just a bunch of Swiss cheese on the ground, and he's slowly regenerating. She walks up. Huh. She looks at everybody and goes, did you know Eraserhead's quirk does erase a quirk, but can only erase one quirk at a time for each person? So she starts glaring at her father, erasing All For One. They all get the memo, and they start glaring at him with eraser. And he starts losing the thousands of quirks he has. Until he's like, well, I'm dying. She goes, yes. Yes, you are. I would have loved for you to be a good father, but you're not. So bye-bye. Walks the hell away. Eraserhead, who's currently at the side of the fight, because people who are on the web can't be affected by Eraser because they're technically quirkless. She walks right into Eraserhead's arms and breaks down. While he was getting peppered by a bullet, he forcefully activated Kurogiri's quirk and sent Shigaraki, the rest of the group, and Kurogiri away. All For One is now absolutely dead. He's never coming back. She breaks down. She's still a child in the eyes of some laws, so she breaks down. So he takes her home. Everybody goes back to Valhalla. Back to the Hotel Valhalla. Yes. Hotel Valhalla. It is a R&R area for heroes who just need to relax. Yes, they have full bars of cell reception. Someone opened a tiny door where cell reception now goes through the entirety of Mariana Trench. I'm not going to tell you how that works. It just works. So we go the next year, halfway through the year is the second year, because I'm pushing everything back a little. It's now work studies. Only internships in the first year, work studies for the second, and then actual sidekick work. So she's in second year. She is now 19. She's now 19. Valhalla is a worldwide organization where world leaders can request help with an emergency button. If it isn't an emergency, they get fined. If people want to join in Valhalla, they must sign a contract that is now binding. Soul binding contract. Yes, someone had a soul contract quirk, and Nezu is in control of all of it. With Izumi's permission. A soul binding contract written by Izumi for Nezu. He read through it and gave her a signature and a drop of blood, which is now soul binding. She goes, you know you can't use Valhalla and the members of the web to enjoy your machinations. He goes, oh, I know. It's a lot more fun doing it myself. So my throat's a little dry. I'll be right back. Okay, I got some fluids. My throat feels better. So, Tsunade wanted her, so she went and He's ordering her because he was too arrogant to actually listen to the sports festival, so he did not get the memo about the web, to give up one for all to Mirio. She looks at him like he's an idiot. And he goes, "Why are you looking at me like that?" She immediately contacts Nezu. "Did you not tell him?" He goes, "I thought he listened to the sports festival." "Well, apparently he didn't. He doesn't know about it." "Know about what?" "Did he watch the fight between All Might and All For One?" He goes, "What fight between All Might and All For One?" Looks at Mirio. "I'm sorry, you're going to have to hear this. Sir Night-Eye, you're a dumbass. First of all, I have absolutely no control over who's the main vessel of All For One anymore. Or not, All For One. One for all. I'm not the main controller of that. The quirk is. Mirio, I did bring you this." Flicks over the gem. He goes, "Oh, I can join?" She goes, "Yup." He munches on the gem. He goes, whoa, what did you just do?" He immediately brings out a flame. "Cool." And Sir Night-Eye's freaking the hell out, thinking she has her father's quirk and is able to create gems to give quirks to other people. And she goes, "Before you touch me," and tries to use your quirk on me, "no, I am not my father's daughter. No, I'll never be my father's daughter. And 3, I'm probably going to leave this work study before you're even done with me. If you keep wanting me to give up one for all." Really should stop talking about my father's quirk. Nira's like, "Cool. Nejire is a part of this before I am?" Looks at him. "She's what?" "Oh." I had no control over that. Nezu still has absolute control over the gem. Well, not actually absolute control, but he has control over the gem most of the time. I did ask Sun Eater. Let me guess, he said no. No, he said yes if he doesn't have to be in the spotlight. I told him, no, you don't have to be. But you will be in the spotlight if a big fight happens and people of the web need to be there. He then said no. Why did you say you'd have to be in the spotlight? You could have just said you could have been in the background, away from the spotlight. You know, I should have done that. Nezu's on it. Like, Sir Night-Eye's like, what? She goes, "Well, you're too ignorant to actually listen and do things people want you to do. So you can go and screw off while I go and actually be a hero." They already did a festival, the cultural festival. They already did the second year's sports festival. She was number 1 again. Nezu gave her a challenge if she would accept it to only use 1 quirk. She bent the rules, tried to bend the rules again, and he goes, "Absolutely 1 quirk. If you choose your own, you can only give out the gems." She pouts a little, but continues going. So we go to a few days after. Sir Night-Eye is now pissed off. And he's trying to send her home. And she goes, "Well, too bad. Danger sense is telling me to be here. You can go shove it while I'm where I'm supposed to be. She's walking with Mirio and Eri bumps into her and she picks up Eri. Eri asks not to be left alone. She sees Overhaul and goes, "Yo, Mirio, can you ask our friend to tell us what his bounty is? Or what his rank is?" A, teetering on S, because we don't know what his quirk does. Ah. Well, do you remember that appraisal quirk? Yeah? Use it. Does so. Okay. I'm sending it out on the web. Done. Sent out on the web. Pulls out gem. Nezu has transferred back the creation of the gem. Munch on this. It's gonna be delicious. She munches on it. It tastes like apples. Candy apples, to be more exact. Yes, she has the appetite of a unicorn. They get the information of what her quirk does. She's like, oh, okay. There he goes, I feel weird. Don't worry. Your Gundam laser, points at her own forehead, a horn appears, can now be shared. She goes, you have my curse too? She goes, no, this ain't a curse. This is a blessing. He goes, what? Looks at Overhaul. She's part of the web now. He goes, so? Did you not hear what the web does? It erases the quirk factor and what the quirk does to a body. The mutations that are left are just byproducts of a quirk. Mirako? She could turn off her mutations and they disappear. But she likes keeping her mutations on. So Eri here, thanks to a few quirks I have, I can read your thoughts, can now no longer make the bullets. He starts scratching. He pulls off a glove. Well then, none of you have. None of you have use to me then. I'll have to do it a different way. Poor Chisaki. She appears right in front of him. Rip off his hands. Force feed him a gem. This is going to be important. Force feeds him a gem. Overhauls him to where it's basically he was born without hands. And his quirk only works, and she changed it for his quirk only works on his fingertips. And she basically made him brain dead. So she takes him into the police department. She overhauls his mind. So he can speak, but everything else is paralyzed. And he's connected to it. So he starts screaming. She asks Nezu to do the thing, because they found out that they could do this. Nezu mutes Kai Chisaki. Oh, and here's something cool. She places a quirk restraining color on him. That does work on the web. Kai Chisaki is now in police custody Useless. She overhauls his hands. He gets the hands back with a film of something on his hands. She goes, don't worry. That's an anti-germ film that will never allow you to get germs on your hands ever again. Well, technically, it's an anti-everything film. If something's on your hand that shouldn't, you can just shake it off, and it just goes everywhere around you, instead of it staying on you. He looks at her like, what are you? Oh, and the best thing is, they create a perfect cleaning product, too. Just wipe your hand on something, and it cleans it perfectly. He looks at her like, what the hell? Oh, and last but not least, completely human and child friendly. He goes, the fuck? That's just so when you're in prison, you're not in endless torment, you're just in a little torment. Knowing quirks are forever. Nezu found a few quirks while this was going on and asked them to wait at UA for a little bit because someone needs to come back. Eri, the raid happens. Sir Nide is perfectly fine. Izumi goes back to UA. And he goes, give the permission back. She goes, okay. Gives the permission back. He asks them to consume the crystal. It appears in his hand. He gives it to the next person. A group of 3 quirks. Quirk 1. Gravitational control. Can increase or decrease gravity depending on where or on what place it is on the planet. So if it's out in the middle of space, you can increase gravity towards the planet for people. But the place is still floating in outer space. Magma control. Can control the effects of magma on a human body and things around the magma. And last but not least, buoyancy control. Can control the buoyancy of anything around you. They already had a tunneling ability. So Nezu starts the project entirely. He uses every quirk at his disposal to make this massive, absolutely massive megastructure underneath the Earth's crust. Doesn't block any of the surrounding natural phenomenons. The plates aren't affected because the only way to get down there now after he closes up the hole is a door. Everybody who's part of the web knows at one point in time they will be sent to Valhalla. Hotel Valhalla. Once they are sent to Hotel Valhalla, they are only allowed out when they are specifically called. So we go 60 years later. She's now 78 years old. 30 children. Don't judge me, she has 30 children. Some are adopted, most aren't. She adopted Coda after Mandalay died in the ensuing fight with Muscular. muscular, then immediately was on target number 1. Aerie, a few other children. Most of them, like 24 of them, were her own children. Most of them weren't. Her wife. Well, technically, she has 5 wives. Mei Hatsume, one of them, doesn't stop inventing. Momo Yayorozu loves interior decoration. Konoko Komori loves farming her mushrooms. That's 3. Ibara Shiozaki. She went from Christianity to Norse. I'm sorry. And her new name is now Loki. Her new hero name is now Loki, the god of trickery, because she's basically immortal and she likes messing with people. Ibara's Sif. Yeah, I think it's Sif. The golden hair, special hair, and so on. And last, but definitely not the least, Midnight. Yeah. They're all in Valhalla because they've retired from hero work. So they all are staying in Valhalla. Loki, the goddess of trickery, walks up to a stage. She looks as good as her prime, which is 21 years old. Walks up to the stage and goes, "I've been a hero since 18 years old. I am now 69 years old. I am tired. I will retire when the world is in crisis again," from someone like my father. The history books will tell you. "Call upon Valhalla. We will come running and screaming for a fight. We will leave just as fast as we came, but with blood, guts, and probably a lot of dead villains in our wake. So, have a great life. Those who are worthy of joining us at Valhalla will find a crystal in a spot that only they will know about, and they will see every day, but everybody else will overlook. Have a great rest of your life." We go 1,000 years in the future. A guy who is born with a copy and theft quirk gets it in his mind, because Valhalla is known as a myth now. They've taken off. People are having fun. Life is carefree. Heroes and villains still exist, but it's more glamorous work. People can rent a villain. And he's like, "I don't like this world anymore. I'm going to burn it to the ground." So he starts copying, stealing quirks, keeping the down low. And a little rodent comes up to him and asks, "Will you please stop doing that?" Most animals now have quirks, so they can speak or they turn into monsters and heroes have to kill them, sadly. And he goes, "Stop what? Your evil plans. Please stop. If you don't, you're going to have to be an enemy. You're going to be an enemy. A very bad enemy." He goes, "And who's going to stop me?" "The gods." "What? gods. Gods aren't real. Oh, I see. Transforms this little tiny rodent thing that looks like Nezu into this bird-human hybrid. And goes, the gods aren't real, you say? Big bird. If you guys can't tell, it's the Egyptian god of Thoth from mythology. Yes, Nezu transformed into Thoth as a legend. Well, then you think Valhalla is a myth. He goes, of course it is. Starts walking away. You're just a person with a transformation type quirk. And she starts walking away. And he goes, well, you heard him first. Go and have fun. Multiple doors in a circle just appear around him in a 1,000-meter circle around him. Yes, the Earth has slowly been expanding because quirks, they've slowly been expanding. They've slowly put the universe in pause. Galaxies are slowly coming back together very slowly. Everything is slowly getting closer and further away at the same time. Our solar system is slowly expanding to fit the new proportions of the planets and our sun. Yes, the Earth is now 10 times its original size. He goes, yeah. Well, let's see how you do against the Einherjar of Valhalla. Wow. How long has it been since we've come out of Valhalla? Thoth goes, 1,000 years, 200 days, and 16 hours. Nezu's son, because yes, he had a son, and yes, it was with his human hybrid girlfriend. Yeah. And 13 minutes. He pats his head. Good job. Smiles. His sharp-toothed smile, because he's part rat. Part rat and whatever Nezu is. Well, we got a target. Charge. Guns, bazookas, everything. Just Momo at the edge. Come get your weapons. Come get your weapons. Those from Norse, pick up your battle axes. Those from America, here are your guns. England, here are your swords. Japanese, here are your katanas. And constantly just giving out weapons. Because they don't care. They're supposedly dead. They're in the world. They're at the center of the earth. Nobody can find them. There's millions of them. Every day they fight. They see how good they are. All Might goes, never fear, I am here. And he goes, well, shit. Valhalla is real. They beat him to an absolute pulp. He comes back up being like, I'm glad I got that regeneration quirk. She goes, you guys see this? You guys see this? He thinks he can beat us with a regeneration quirk. Everybody just starts having glowing red eyes, thinking that he thinks that they're enraged, but he gets shot in the shoulder and it feels like his heart is getting ripped out of his chest because he's never felt much pain because he accidentally copied a pain nullification quirk. So he's like, holy crap. Aizawa walks up to the front. His eyes are glowing red. Let's finish this. And charges. He changes from a male human to a female cat. Because he wanted to be a cat. And I don't want to know why he did that, but he did. Yamada changed from a male human into a banshee. He says siren when he's singing, but banshee when he's screaming. Yeah. They start taking mythology to a next level. And they live for the rest of existence in Hotel Valhalla, fighting each other. Every few days, someone new joins the hotel. If they're an elder, they fake their death, but if they're not, they go straight to a hotel after 50 years of service. And that is the end of this one shot. Please, Please subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you guys later. Bye!